big part of my partnership with rural America is about a $100 billion investment in creating the jobs that are necessary to sustain communities and allow communities to not only survive but to thrive.
2020 hopeful Kamala Harris announcing a plan to fight what she calls President Trump's war on rural America. Here to react is the president of the Heartland Institute, Frank Lasee. Hey, Frank, thanks for being with us.
Hey, good morning. Good morning to everyone out there listening.
So what does this mean? What does she want to do? It's a lot of money.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of money. I think first off, she's late to the table. She's the 8th or 9th Democrat candidate for president who's talking about a rural agenda of some sort. And they have 10 hours of the first 10 hours of debate. They mentioned rural 10 times, so it's not really high on their priority list. I think Kamala Harris said, well, you know, 100 billion sounds like a nice number. Let's throw some money at this problem, and I'll come up with some ideas to do something. You know, $10,000 a job, that's the centerpiece of it. It requires you have to create at least 3 jobs. And that 3 jobs for the $10,000 each, you'll have these subsidy farmers rather than real people in rural areas starting real businesses that'll last a long time.
Okay, Frank, let's break down what is in the plan. The first item is $10,000 tax credit, as you were mentioning, for businesses that create jobs in rural communities. She wants to end the trade war by eliminating Trump's tariffs. She wants to increase access to rural health care. $80 billion to bring broadband to every home by 2024. Let's start with the tariffs. The president is saying in the long run, this is going to benefit our farmers, benefit our country. What do you think if she ends the trade war?
Well, I think we've entered into this, and we need to do this now while our economy is bigger than China. China is being unfair, has been unfair for years. It's cost lots of American jobs. For instance, I know someone in the Green Bay area who has been importing things from China, and actually now he's starting to import things from Cambodia and Vietnam and other places than China as the lowest cost provider. But he looked into and wanted to export dog food to China. Huge demand for American dog food, partly because they can't trust Chinese makers that they might put something in there that poisons your dog. Every now and then there are no news stories. So there's a huge demand. He checked it out, and then he started going to work, and there are dog food producers in the Green Bay area. And if they were able to export to China, they would increase their employment, they'd hire more people, they would expand their business. And when he started looking into it, he found it would take a year or two, $20,000 to $50,000 just to get approval to ship dog food that's being fed to dogs throughout America to China, and he'd have to take on a Chinese partner, pay $20,000 a year for a licensing fee. And what he heard from his research is after 2, 3, 4 years, not even 2 or 3 years, they don't give you a renewal, and suddenly your Chinese partner is now doing that business. So you look at it and you say, well, how am I going to make this? By the time I build it, a Chinese person will take it over. Those are the types of unfair practices that China has been doing for decades that hurt American workers, hurt American companies, and I think Trump understands that, and I don't think Senator Kamala Harris understands this. And it is about American jobs, particularly in the rural areas. That dog food maker is a really great example. And that's one part of the problem. And I say if China gets to be the world's largest economy and they practice this unfair trade, and we just saw that with freedom of speech, we're going to have a real problem. We're going to have a real problem.
All right, Frank Lasee from the Heartland Institute. Have a great weekend, Frank. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you.
You're welcome.